Hey guys, Matt here, talking guns today with my new buddy, Erik. We've known each other 2 years, 3 years, when you worked at the police department. And you're actually one of the first people that ever pulled me over.
That's right.
And you didn't give me a ticket because I knew most of you anyway, which comes in handy sometimes. But otherwise, tell us a little bit about yourself, Erik.
Well, I'm actually from Florida. I've been a police officer for about 30 years. I just retired last month. During that 30 years, I've had an opportunity to work in many different units, field training. I was on a motorcycle for 10 years. I was in robbery, and then ultimately I ended up in undercover narcotics investigations, which is where I finished out my career.
Did you like it?
I did. I wouldn't have been there for 30 years.
Yeah, that's a good point. Good point. What's the most you've ever taken away from it?
In what sense? You mean like overall, big picture kind of thing?
Yeah.
Good always has to win, which is one of the reasons I went and became a police officer in the first place. It wasn't the old to help people, I just want to help people, It was more than that to me, fighting for good and fighting for what's right and fighting for justice and for the people that weren't able to do that for themselves. So I think the takeaway for me was that I spent 30 years helping people, even though I said I wouldn't do that, but just fighting the good fight and fighting for good and making sure that good will always win and triumph over evil.
Right. Do you think that news agencies didn't help with that whole situation?
Not over the last 4 or 5 years, no.
Yeah. They made it a little bit rougher on you guys.
They made it a lot rougher, and they report what they want to report. And the one thing I can tell you now, because I feel like I've been restricted for so many years, is that the news has always filled in the blanks when we don't give them all the information. And there's a lot of times, majority of the times during an investigation, that the news will show up and the news will want some information. We can't give them all the information, and the reason is typically because we can't jeopardize the investigation if it's ongoing. So most of the time when we show up, we can't give out names. We don't know all of the facts, but we do know certain things have happened. So when it gets to the news, we give them, this is what happened, and this is where we are, and the news would run off and, they want to be first with stuff, and they would try to figure out who was there and what house it was and who the house is registered to, and they would start filling in the blanks so that they could show up and be first on the television with names and things like that. And they don't care so much about going back after and making corrections. They just want to be the first out there, whether it's true or not. And that has been a hindrance to law enforcement for probably the entire 30 years that I've been there.
It's a shame.
It is.
It's really a big shame. It's not right.
It is, because it paints us into a picture where people don't want to trust law enforcement. They think that we're lying. People aren't stupid, right? So you're watching the news and you're getting bits and pieces, and people are kind of coming around to, that's not what happened, or I know this is what's over there, and I know this particular location. And then they're starting to see finally that the news isn't reporting accurate news the majority of the time, because we don't give them all the information.
On purpose.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right. And then you get spouses, right? So like my wife knows, I come home and I tell her this is what's going on, or she would text me or something about something she saw on the news. And so there's a lot of misinformation, and unfortunately the news, it's all about ratings. A lot of people didn't realize that until recently, that it's all about trying to be first. It doesn't matter if they're wrong or not, it's trying to be first.
Right. It sucks. It's not fair to you or the guys at all. Well, I gave you free reign of my collection, and I wanted you to pick out 4 guns that either bring back something to memory or something that maybe you always wanted. I mean, anything. I just let you just go at it. So you pick which one you want to do first.
Well, I'm going to start with the Glock 22, and the reason I picked the Glock 22 is because this was my first gun. Not necessarily my first gun. I had a Ruger P89, but this was my first duty weapon. When I say duty weapon, when you get hired by an agency, my first agency was Fort Lauderdale,
right.
And you're not allowed to carry any gun you want to. Back then, there's a list, and you have a list of weapons that you can choose from as far as what you want to carry. And as long as it meets their specifications and their armor approves the gun, you can carry it. And so my very first gun, my very first duty weapon, was a Glock 22 40 caliber. And the reason I went with a 40 was because, back in the day, people would give you shit about 9mm. It's a girl's gun, or it's weak, it's not going to stop the threat, things like that. And the 45, if you ever handled a 45, and my hands aren't huge, if you ever handle a 45, it's a big gun. When I shot a 45, of course, I wasn't as good as I thought I was going to be. So the 40 was kind of like right in that sweet spot for me, where the frame fit my hand really well. I was accurate with the gun, which is obviously important. And I just liked it. And again, working in South Florida, Glock was actually fairly newish.
That was a long time ago.
It was a long time. The earth had just cooled.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
But, with the polymer frame and everything, and working in Florida, rust was a concern. People that don't take care of their weapons, things like that. So for me, it was a perfect fit. And I had my Glock 22 for nearly my entire career, up until like probably the last few years of my career. I picked this gun first because it has a lot of sentimental value to me. And this one isn't mine, but I will never sell my Glock 22.
It's probably got you out of a couple of jams too. It's
got me out of quite a lot of jams. I can safely say that I probably would not be here today if it wasn't for my Glock 22. And it's not a pitch for Glock or anything like that. It's just, this has been a very reliable gun for me. I don't know that I've had any misfires or jams or anything with my Glock 22. It's been that reliable. To treat it, when I retired, when I retired the 22, I had the frame stippled, just kind of had it done up, so I gave it like a spa day. And but I will never get rid of it.
Did it have a dot on it?
No dot. It was basically just like what you see here, except for I had
night sights?
Like Trichicon or something like night sights on it. But that's it. What you see here is basically what I carried for most of my entire career, and it saved my ass more times than I can count.
Did you have a backup?
A pistol, no, but I would have a shotgun.
Right.
So.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. So half the time you would arrive on a call, depending on the nature of the call, you always have your gun on your hip, obviously, but a lot of people had ankle guns, but no reason not to deploy a Remington 870 Marine shotgun.
That ought to get the job done.
It does, and it also, when you take it out of the car, like, you're trained, your gun is always loaded, right? But your shotgun, when it's in the car, it's ready, but it's not loaded. So there isn't one in the chamber. So the first thing you have to do when you deploy your shotgun or an AR or something like that is you take it out of the car and you charge it.
Right.
So you get out of the car, you charge it, and there's been quite a few times where people hear the charging of the weapon, and that's it.
Yeah, they don't like
the call's over.
No,
right.
Like
so in addition to that, but the Glock 22 has definitely, again, as basic as it is, it's been my favorite go-to gun just because of the bond I guess I have.
Yeah, no,
with
it makes sense.
So,
no, it's like your first child, so to speak.
Yeah, and I can't tell you how many thousands and thousands of rounds I fired through my 22, and
it's your baby.
It is.
I get it. No,
it means a lot to me.
No, it makes total sense. It makes total sense. What would be your next one? It's tough.
It is tough. I kind of went towards this Staccato, just because this is just a badass gun, and I know LAPD I think is issuing these now. This is
a nice budget, I guess.
Yeah, they of course they have a nice budget, but this gun is just a badass gun, and the other reason I picked this one is because I kind of like the fact that they sort of did an honoring of police officers and have this model out with the thin blue line flag on it. And the what is that, like a fiber laser?
Yep, I think so. Oh, it was handmade. It was hand done, actually.
Yeah, this one in particular was, but this one just jumps out at you. You're walking through all of these guns and you're walking through these different rooms. This one kind of jumps out, at least to me, right? Because I've been in law enforcement my whole life, basically. So when I see stuff like this, I know that it's kind of important, right? That people kind of respect this and honor this, as opposed to just cranking anything out. So for me, it's kind of just a cool gun in general. I haven't shot this. I would love to shoot it.
I'll let you shoot it.
This is just a badass gun.
Yeah. Now, some of you guys who haven't been on the channel, this gun was at an event with Staccato that I was at. It was buy now for $100,000. And I was like, no. I said, it's good cause, but I didn't see 100 on it. So I walked away, didn't think anything about it. And then I found out it was up for auction, and it was at 15. And I thought, well, it's going to go higher now. So I throw on 16,000. Forgot all about it. Walked away from it. Didn't even think anything more about it. And then Chad was here, Johnny was here, we're playing pool. I was like, I better check the auction. I haven't seen it lately. And next thing I know, it was an hour left and I got it for $16,000. And I had to tell the wife, oh shit, I have to spend $16,000 on
have to.
That. Yeah. Yeah. And I was like, well, I had to buy it. So that's how it came about. Great gun. I've shot it once. You're more than welcome to shoot it.
Well, I appreciate you buying it because it does speak volumes, right? It also speaks volumes as far as you supporting law enforcement as well, which I know you do anyways, but it's something you didn't have to buy.
No, I didn't have to buy it, right.
So, just the fallen blue on it and just the way they did this gun, it's really, really nice. I mean, the mag well, everything. Yeah. So this is just a sick gun.
No. Yeah, I think I shot at least one round out of it. I'm pretty sure I did. Right. No, yeah, that's 1 of 1.
So that
should be, there it is.
Engraved.
So this is actually a 1 of 1 on here. So even more so.
Yeah. It's pretty slick.
You did good.
Yeah, thank you. It's a badass little gun.
This is a
Staccato
badass.
Makes good
this is
shit.
A great gun.
Yeah.
So I picked that one just because it kind of jumped out at me, more or less because of my background and everything, because of the thin blue line, and to me that just is important.
Yeah.
Right. So even though I've retired, I still back the blue. I'm still very much involved in law enforcement, and for me it's very important to see support for that.
Yep, 100%. What would be your next?
More gimmicky than anything.
No, I get it. No, go
More
for it.
gimmicky than anything.
Go for it.
I like the 44 Magnum.
Okay, for what reason?
Well, because I'm a Dirty Harry fan.
Okay.
Who's not a Dirty Harry fan?
Right.
Besides, this gun will blow your head clean off. This is just a sick gun. Like, who wouldn't want to own a gun like this in their collection?
Too bad that wasn't your carry.
What's that?
Too bad that wasn't your carry.
So people don't realize like how heavy these guns actually are. Like this thing is like no joke. So this is like heavy. So just to even be accurate with this thing is just nuts. So this gun, I picked this gun only because of the movies, right? So I'm a fan of Dirty Harry and just the whole Dirty Harry series and Magnum Force. So this was just kind of like one of those things. Like if I had a collection, this would be something that I would want in my collection just to have. Just because it's pretty cool.
Yeah. I bought it because somebody had a loud gun in the gun range and I didn't like it, so I went and bought a 44 Magnum.
So you bought something louder?
Yeah, I wanted something louder. This is before YouTube and everything else, and I was like, bastard, see, he's got a louder gun than me. And I went to the counter, bought it right then and there. That's the reason I bought it.
So
But
yeah,
I've
like-
had fun with it since.
So yeah, not a huge, like gun. Like I'm not gonna pick the fanciest of fancy.
Right.
But obviously,
It's reliable.
sentimental value.
Yeah.
To me, this one just means a lot for what it stands for and what the company stands for.
Right.
This one, I think, is just cool because I love movies. I love, especially the Clint Eastwood movies and things like that. And it's not because I'm in law enforcement. It's just because it's Dirty Harry. Like,
Yeah,
who
you
didn't
can-
love Dirty Harry?
Yeah. We all love Dirty Harry.
So,
And your last one?
the last one,
I know why you
picked
picked this one.
up.
I know why you picked this one.
So the last one is the Cheytac. It was M200.
Yep.
You need to pick
This
thing
is
up,
just-
bro.
Yeah, pick that up. It's a beast. It's heavy.
Nice.
So, for obvious reasons, for basic home defense,
Yeah.
I went with the M200 just because I
You
don't
can do a
want
lot
to
of
miss.
CQB with that.
Because I don't want to miss anything, and if someone does break into my house, no. I think what do the rounds cost for this?
Oh, I've seen them different.
They got to be
12,
like
16
$10 or so at least.
Yeah, they're all over the place.
Yes, I did have the opportunity to shoot this gun, and yes, it is ridiculously smooth, accurate, and where did we go? We went to like 500 yards?
Yeah, 500 yards.
500 or 600
Which
yards.
is a drop in a bucket for that gun.
Right.
Because we went to the ranch with it.
So, and this was in the movie...
Shooter. It was in the movie Shooter.
The
Not
same
that
weapon,
particular one.
right. This same
type
weapon
of
was
weapon,
used in the movie Shooter with Mark Wahlberg.
Which made it famous.
Right. But
It weighs
God,
a
this
lot.
is heavy.
Yeah.
So,
I think it weighs more than a Barrett, personally.
what do you think this weighs?
40 pounds easy.
You think so?
I think it's around 40. Wouldn't you say,
Probably
Chad?
more than that, right? With the
I think it's
suppressor.
heavy. I mean, I don't know.
This is
I,
heavy,
don't
man.
know, I got a suppressor on
I lifted
so
a bunch
mean-
of bags of 40-pound rocks, and this is heavier than a bag of rocks.
What kind of rocks?
Garden rocks.
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking during your narcotics days.
No.
Okay.
But this is just cool, and for some reason, as you can see, like when I'm carrying this or even near this thing, I just can't stop smiling. Like it hurts my cheeks, which is weird. So this
It
is a cool
fun.
gun.
It is fun. It is fun
This
to
is a
shoot.
cool gun.
No recoil whatsoever.
No.
You can definitely reach out and touch somebody with it.
Yeah, not with the suppressor. I have not shot this without the suppressor on it, so I imagine it would probably
It's not bad.
do some damage.
It's not bad.
But
It's
if you ever
much
get
more
a chance,
enjoyable.
if you ever get a chance to shoot this gun, the Cheytac, this M200, you should take the chance to do it because this is like you won't be able to wipe the smile off your face for days.
It is a giggle box. I call it a giggle box.
Yeah.
I enjoy
So,
shooting it. I enjoy
This is cool.
Yeah.
So that's why I picked this gun because this was actually be like a dream gun, right? So like sentimental value, important to me and the career and the profession. Cool because it's a movie gun. This because it makes me smile and that's like very hard to do. And yeah, this is something I would never actually potentially own. It's just out of my range.
You don't need
So
to own one. You know a guy who has one.
I do know a guy that
Two.
has one.
Two.
So,
Yeah. So you can come over and shoot mine.
so this is just ridiculous. So that's why I would pick this one because it's like the coolest thing ever.
Right.
So and now I got to put it down because it's fucking heavy.
Well, thanks, Erik, for coming out, hanging out with me today. Appreciate it, bud.
Yeah, of
As
course.
always, come out anytime. Bringing some of the guys from the old unit to come out, and we'll teach them how to shoot. Okay.
We can do that.
Yeah, they'll enjoy that. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and hit like and subscribe. Take care.